Imagine being in a time machine and stepping out into a prehistoric camp in the middle of the Stone Age. You take a deep breath. What do you expect to smell? If we trust movies, cartoons, and museum dioramas, you would instantly gag. We are taught to picture ancient humans as grunting, mud-covered beasts with rotting teeth, tangled matted hair, and a stench that could knock out a mammoth. After all, they didn't have indoor plumbing, running water, or lavender-scented body wash. But the idea that our Paleolithic ancestors spent their entire lives wallowing in their own filth is completely wrong. In fact, if a Stone Age human time traveled to today, they might actually think we are the ones with terrible hygiene habits. To understand why, we need to completely rethink what it means to be clean. First, we have to look at the sheer biological necessity of keeping clean. Hygiene is not a modern cultural invention. It is a deeply hardwired evolutionary survival mechanism. In a world without antibiotics, letting a thick layer of dead skin, dirt, and sweat build up on your body was a literal death sentence. It would attract flies, breed deadly fungal infections, and turn a tiny scratch into a fatal case of sepsis. Animals in the wild constantly groom themselves to survive, and humans were absolutely no different. So how did they wash without a modern shower? For nomadic hunter-gatherers, water was life. They literally had to follow rivers, lakes, and streams to survive. This meant that for most of human history, people were almost always camped near fresh, flowing water. Taking a dip to wash off the sweat and grime of a hunt wasn't a luxury. It was a daily instinct. But what about soap? While they couldn't buy a bar of soap at the store, they had access to incredible natural exfoliants. Ancient humans used fine river sand, wet clay, and pumice stones to physically scrub away dirt, dead skin, and heavy oils. But things get even more interesting when you look at their campfires. Prehistoric people frequently handled animal fats from their hunts, and their hands were covered in wood ash from constantly tending the fire. When you mix animal fat, wood ash, and a little bit of water, a chemical reaction called saponification occurs. It is the exact chemical process used to create modern soap. Without even understanding the complex chemistry, ancient humans were constantly producing a crude, natural soap on their hands while cooking and cleaning their tools. Now, what about the most horrifying part of ancient hygiene? Their mouths. If they didn't have toothbrushes, toothpaste, or dentists, wouldn't their teeth just rot and fall out by the time they were 20? Amazingly, the exact opposite is true. Bioarchaeologists who study ancient skulls are consistently shocked by how straight, strong, and cavity-free prehistoric teeth were. Your ancient ancestors actually had much better dental health than you do right now. The secret was their diet. Before the invention of agriculture, humans did not eat farmed grains, heavy carbohydrates, or processed sugars. The bacteria in our mouths that cause tooth decay feed almost exclusively on simple sugars and starches. Because prehistoric humans ate a diet of tough meats, nuts, fibrous roots, and wild vegetables, the cavity-causing bacteria simply starved to death. On top of that, chewing all that incredibly tough, fibrous food acted as a natural mechanical toothbrush, physically scraping the plaque off their enamel with every single bite. But they didn't just rely on chewing. Fossil records show undeniable evidence of active dental care. Anthropologists have found skulls dating back tens of thousands of years with tiny, distinct grooves worn into the sides of the teeth. These grooves are made by prehistoric toothpicks. Ancient humans regularly used small twigs, bone fragments, and stiff grass to aggressively pick meat and debris out from between their teeth. Furthermore, they chewed on specific frayed twigs from medicinal trees. Today, we call these chewing sticks, or miswak. The sap in these specific twigs contains natural antibacterial and anti-inflammatory compounds that actively fight gum disease. They were literally brushing their teeth with nature's antiseptic. What about their hair? Thick, unwashed hair is a 5-star hotel for lice, ticks, and fleas. Ancient humans waged a relentless war against these parasites. Aside from inventing sharp stone razors to scrape off body hair, they also utilized natural mud masks. Smearing thick, wet clay into their hair and letting it dry in the hot sun wasn't a spa day, it was chemical warfare. As the mud dried and shrank, it suffocated lice and trapped ticks. When they washed the dried mud out in the river, the dead bugs washed away with it. They also crafted intricate combs out of bone and antler, specifically designed with incredibly tight teeth to aggressively scrape out lice eggs. But we have to talk about the elephant in the room. How did they handle bathroom habits? Without toilets or toilet paper, surely their camps were a toxic biohazard, right? Actually, their nomadic lifestyle was the ultimate hygiene cheat code. Modern humans live in dense, permanent settlements where waste builds up dangerously, which is exactly why we needed to invent complex sewer systems. But hunter-gatherers were constantly on the move. When the immediate area started getting dirty, they simply packed up and walked away. Nature was their flush. For wiping, they used whatever soft, absorbent materials were abundant: broad leaves, smooth river stones, handfuls of soft moss, or snow in the winter. And because they always lived near water, washing off afterward was the standard practice. So if they were using mud, ash, and leaves, why didn't the lack of modern antibacterial chemicals kill them? This is where modern humans get hygiene completely backwards. We are obsessed with sterilizing our bodies. We scrub ourselves with harsh antibacterial soaps that kill absolutely everything on our skin. But your skin is supposed to be a thriving ecosystem. Ancient humans were covered in an incredibly diverse, robust microbiome, a microscopic layer of good bacteria, fungi, and microbes that lived on their skin and worked like an invisible biological shield. When an ancient human got a cut or encountered a dangerous pathogen in the dirt, their native microbiome instantly fought it off. They had a natural armor that we wash down the drain every single morning. By living so closely with nature, their immune systems were exposed to a constant, low-level stream of diverse microbes, keeping their internal defenses incredibly strong and hyperactive. Today, our sterile indoor environments and chemical soaps have left our immune systems bored, confused, and weak, leading to a massive rise in allergies and autoimmune diseases that simply did not exist in the Stone Age. So, the next time you step into a steaming hot shower, squeeze out some expensive body wash, and brush your teeth with electric precision, remember your prehistoric ancestors. No, they didn't smell like a synthetic ocean breeze, but they were not filthy monsters. They were deeply in tune with their bodies and their environment. They scrubbed with sand, sanitized with ash, picked their teeth with medicinal wood, and wore a biological armor of good bacteria. They survived not by conquering nature, but by beautifully blending into it.